Hey guys, what's up? Little Friday night special. She's back in one piece again. I've taken this sucker apart so many times I could do it with my eyes closed at this point. And I figured I'd make a quick wrap-up video because sadly enough, we'll be going to the track for the last time. Not this weekend coming, the 26th. So the last, last weekend of the month, I believe. And yeah, I just figured I'd do a wrap-up video because this whole X2 endeavor began out of the desire to run that track after taking my roving Baja up there when I was fresh, man. I showed up. I may as well had a shirt on that just, that said I was as green as it gets, because I rolled up there with a stock roving Baja, and I remember getting out of my car, and I pulled it out of the back seat. These dudes all got stands and their fucking low-seas, and I'm looking around, and I'm a little shy, of course. I don't know anybody yet, but I know one thing: my truck don't look anything like theirs do. So I'm like, son of a bitch, right? One of the guys, Chris, who is a good friend now, I would consider him a good friend. He approached me first, asked me if that's all I had brought, if that's what I was running for the day, and I told him, yeah, this is what I got. And he said, well, good for you, man. He goes, two-wheel drive's a little bit difficult. Everybody here runs four-wheel drive. He was nice about it, and he just let me know that it's a bit more of a challenge. Well, it was a fucking joke. Not to mention my roving was bone stock, and those Baja platforms are a money pit, and they are a nightmare. They are definitely something that you don't want to get into racing, and I think that's part of the reason why racing really just doesn't exist as much as it did. When it comes to that platform, because they're really just a fucking nightmare. So long story short, that was my experience, and I got around the track maybe 2 or 3 times. I wiped it out 2 or 3 times really bad within those few laps. I couldn't even get on the throttle. It was all over the place. And when I left there that day, I realized there was no way I was coming back with that thing. And I didn't come back all season. I told everybody I'd be back with a low C 5T, or a Rovan LT or a King Motor, whatever I decided on. And I decided on this. I bought this in 2016. Yeah. Wait, no. 2017. And so I've had it for a year, and I've also had a season under my belt with it now, and that's why I wanted to make this wrap-up video, because our season here in Florida, as far as the racing is concerned, it ends early. The summer is just too hot, so next month, or this month rather, is when it ends, and it'll kick back up and start back up in October when the weather starts to get a little cooler. Hopefully I'll get a chance to get my Baja out for some, field running and construction site running and, that kind of thing throughout the summer. But it is really, it's so hot, man. It's brutal. The summer's here. This budget race truck, and let me back up a bit, because one of the things I wanted to mention is I don't race. Somebody had asked me about, what kind of racing we do. And it is a real deal racetrack. And we are real deal racing. He asked if we fought around. Do we fight around, do we just fight around the track? No, we don't fight around the track, man. We beat the shit out of our trucks. And we race. There's just no trophies, no sponsors, no bullshit, no secrets, no egos, no nothing. None of that shit. And so it's about, I've never, raced in a circuit, but I imagine we have more fun than anybody that goes out to a track on a sponsored event or a sanctioned event has. We have a lot more fun, I guarantee you. And so we don't just fought around. But yeah, so this platform's been great in comparison to all the Losies that I run with up there, because I'm the only guy up there with a clone. I'm assuming it'll stay that way. There was one newcomer recently, and he came back again for a second time, so we were happy to see that, and he brought a friend. But again, I'm the only guy running a clone. The Losi shock towers are they're just superior to the King motor and the, I don't know about Roven, but as far as King motor, the shock tower aluminum or the alloy is shit. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll know why I can say that with confidence. As far as the rest of the rig is concerned, I am 100% confident that it compares to a Losi, without a doubt. The servos, they are rated for 7.4 volts. If you go to the King Motor website and you look at the specs, they give you a rating at 6.4 volt or 6 volts, and they also give you a rating at 7.4. But I'll tell you a little story about 7.4 volts in a little bit. So the reason I'm making the video is I wanted to do a wrap up and kind of tell you, hey, I've had a great season with this thing. It's been a year now, and I can really say that I know this truck really well. I can take it apart with my eyes closed. I take it apart with DDM bits. $4 worth of bits, Black Friday. I know they're normally $8. This is what I take it apart with. That's it. And a hand ratchet. O'Reilly Auto Parts, $3 in the bargain bin. And maybe this if I need a little bit of extra torque, Harbor Freight. It's a great rig, easy to work on. I can't say enough about it. And as far as what I paid for it, I think I paid $9.50. And this is the deluxe version. But I'm going to do a breakdown on what I spent on this truck for upgrades and unnecessary upgrades. Check this out, guys. Maybe it'll motivate you guys to take a look at the money you've spent, or who knows, maybe you don't want to know what you spent. But as far as a budget racer is concerned, again, it's a once-a-month thing, and I don't really run the truck. I don't run the truck in between. So it's basically getting 1 day a month throughout the whole season. And that's a hell of a day, trust me. It takes an absolute shit kicking in a matter of 8, maybe 7, 8 hours once a month. So as far as unneeded upgrades, I'll go through this side of the list first. The Zenoa G320. Fucking badass little motor right there. But was it necessary? No. The King Motor 30.5 rev engine was fine. It didn't have the kind of power I wanted because I was looking at guys, you know, that I'm racing with that are running $800 engines. So of course my engine's looking a little weak. But in all honesty, this engine made me a better driver. I got so much better on the track. Having the extra power and the extra torque, which was the exact opposite of what I would have thought and what I did think. I thought maybe having an underpowered engine was a better way to learn, but it wasn't. I was so much of it. My driving increased twofold, as far as the amount of times that I was crashing or just I drove a lot better and faster. So that was $260. That was, of course, a DDM deal of the day, but $260 that I didn't need to spend. The clutch that's in it. Technically, this could be on the needed upgrades or broken and replaced upgrades. That's kind of a combined list, but it didn't have to be a 4-shoe clutch. It's a Torex 4-shoe clutch, the same as the Mad Max ones that they're selling all over the internet for $80. I paid $50 for it. It was brand new, but I bought it secondhand. 30 North panels, $120. Didn't need them. Could still be using the King Motor panels. Granted, the rear fenders are shit, but I'm not running the rear fenders on the 30 North panels, so go figure. $120. J Concepts chases. Did I need them? No. Did I want them? Yeah. Are they badass? Yeah. Did they make a big difference? Yeah. $65. Body wrap. Definitely didn't need that. $70. And that was just rcwraps.com, I believe. eBay. You guys have probably heard of them. Venom battery. Definitely has more power than this. And this is a 4800 NYMA. This is a 3000. They're both nickel metal hydride packs, but this one seems to have more power and it performs better. It's amazing how fast my steering is with this, considering what it is. But wasn't necessary, but it is nice to have 2 packs. That was 20 bucks. Losi Red Springs. I have the brand new King Motor ones in the bag. I thought maybe the Losi Springs, after the first couple times I brought it to the track, when it was pretty much all stock, I felt like I needed better springs. These trucks are so heavy. But to be honest, the Losi Red Springs really didn't do what I thought they were going to do either. So just as an FYI, maybe step it up to the gold or orange or whatever they are, which I might try next season. Those were 18 bucks. Kill switch. Again, we're talking unneeded upgrades. Technically, a kill switch is not unneeded. It's necessary. But did I need an iKilly? No. So this is a $100 kill switch. We'll say 50 bucks. We'll cut it in half because I didn't necessarily need that kill switch. So altogether, we have approximately $700, we'll say. Approximately 700 bucks there. Again, you can go back through and tally it up, but we'll say about 700 bucks. As far as needed, and again, $700 in unnecessary upgrades. Things I could have just done without. My King Motor tires are in perfect shape. They're sitting right there in bags. But they weren't great at the track, and I wanted better. As far as needed upgrades, the RC Rock Armor servo brace. It's necessary, guys. This platform, that weak spot is just too weak, and it really does a number on your ability to brake. So this here is necessary for this platform, whether it be a Losi, a Roven, King Motor, it don't matter. And you guys know that already. So the TLR brake kit, the Losi 5B brake kit, I initially had that on the unnecessary upgrades, but in reality, the brake system on this rig, and from what I understand across all the platforms, Roven, be it Roven or Losi, they just suck. Most of the guys upgrade the diff tower. They go with the one that has the upgraded brakes. If you're still running a stock brake setup, God love you. This one here, the Ackerman bolts and the grub screw combination was just terrible. The grub screws would strip out immediately because they were so goddamn thin and cheap, and the grub screw would back out, the Ackerman screw would back out, then you'd have a cocked caliper causing the thing to drag and then to bind up. It was terrible. It was that way out of the box, let alone after a day, a half a day of racing or 20 minutes of racing. So yeah, that had to go. I scored these for 37 bucks. Horizon sells them now for like 65 because I think as soon as the 5B came out and they were selling replacement parts, they didn't realize that people were going to buy these for the 5T as an upgrade. And as soon as they did and they started flying off the shelves, they upped the price, the bastards. So yeah, those were 37 bucks, 40 bucks, we'll say. The RC Rock Armor brace, that was, I think, 20 bucks on deal of the day. The FLM Forever rear drive cups. These things are badass. I only bought a set for the rear because my cups were really only getting really beat in the rear. And again, if you buy these guys, you have to chamfer the edge on your dog bone pin in order to get your dog bone pin in there. Once it's in, it's not coming out very, easily, and it won't, of course, come out when everything's all back together. So yeah, FLM drive cups were 27 bucks DDM. That's a regular price for a set. I only replaced the rear. Losi front, left, and right dog bones. I've dealt with bent dog bones on the right and left side. Bought them cheap. I got a Losi, a brand new one for 10 bucks at one point, and I got a used Losi one for 10 bucks off a friend. So there's 20 bucks there. Losi rear shock tower. That was an absolute necessary upgrade because of the other ones folding like tacos. I bought a set, front and rear, Losi, for 30 bucks from a friend. You can buy them cheap. I believe Dollar Hobbies. So we'll say 15 bucks because I'm not running the front. So 15 bucks. Paid 30 for the pair. Rovin rear bumper braces. I have broken this brace twice. So I have about 20 bucks invested there. Losi rear cage, the sides. I replaced with Losi parts the sides for the cage twice. The sides that mount into the rear bumper. Of course, now they are gone because they broke again. And I have about 30 bucks invested there. Rovin front and rear shock bladders. The King Motor shock bladders were shit right out of the box. They were wrong. The rears are supposed to be deep, and they weren't. All four of mine were the same depth. And so Dan was nice enough at Rovin to send me a set of 4 for $3. A Rovin 19-tooth pinion, 13 bucks. I broke the tooth off the pinion. I think the last time I was up at the track. So I replaced that with a Rovin pinion for 13 bucks. Fuel tank vent, $6. $6. Fuel line, of course, that's been upgraded, and it wasn't necessary, so I guess you could add $1.50 to the unnecessary side. But let's see. As far as charity stuff, the pipe, Dan, the other Dan at the track was nice enough to give me that Victory Silence pipe. It wasn't necessary, and it wasn't unnecessary. It was requested. The track owner said that I needed to run a silence pipe. The King Motor pipe that I got with the truck was silenced, but I cut the silencer off of it, not realizing that I was going to have a problem at the track. So I tried to put a coupler on it, and that's good for maybe field running, but you know, the kind of abuse these take up there, it would have come off in 10 minutes. So it would have ripped off in 10 minutes. So yeah, he was nice enough to give me this. I'd say in the condition it was in, it was worth about $100. Losi steering servo. I blew the King Motor throttle servo with an overcharged battery. So again, when I talked about the specs that Rovin and King Motor they put down on their servos on their website, you might want to second guess those specs, because I charged this battery on accident. I didn't know, but somebody had charged my battery, my nickel metal hydride 6-volt, to 7.4 volts, and a matter of 5 minutes later, the servo stopped working. And I got it to work again a day later, and it only worked for about 15 minutes and then cut out again. So I think I smoked the servo. King Motor was nice enough to send me a new throttle servo, but a friend had already given me, Mike from the track, had already given me a brand new Losi S900S. So I just switched them out and put the King Motor steering servo in the throttle position, set the endpoints, of course, and I put the Losi steering servo where it should be. And I'd say that was it was brand new, but you can get those for about 30 bucks. The TR Turtle Racing Grabber Bell, if you guys have never seen those, check them out. I never even knew they existed, but it's not a bell that's related to the snapper clutch. It's just a bell for a traditional clutch, and it's slotted and vented. And what I mean by slotted, you'll see it's got grooves in it that run out to the vents. So it's a pretty cool design, one that I haven't seen yet, as opposed to just a traditional, venting. And it seems to work real well with that 4-shoe clutch, that Torex clutch. So yeah, that's about it. And altogether, there's $171 worth of necessary, either broken and replaced, or just absolutely necessary upgrades, like, for example, this here, the brakes. $171. When you add, I apologize, $200. $200. As far as the charity stuff, the exhaust, the steering servo, and the grabber bell, about $145 worth of stuff there. So altogether, we're looking at about $1,000 in charity, and if you added the value of the charity and unnecessary and necessary upgrades. I'm totally happy with that. Over the course of a little over a year, I got $1,000 into this thing, and of course, diff oil, shock oil, that kind of stuff. But $4, $5 here or there. I'm pretty happy with it, guys. I'm okay with that. So again, maybe it'll motivate you to take a look at what you got going on, and again, maybe you don't want to know it all. But as far as this platform is concerned, and the reason I got this, and the promise I made to myself and my wife, and to my subscribers, that I was not going to spend a lot of money on it, I think I've kept it. I really do, and I'm going to continue with that theme. The diff, I really wanted to replace it. I haven't. I pulled that big shim out of there. I had a really big diameter shim to get rid of the play in the diff, in the stock diff, and the diameter was so big that it was rubbing. Once everything heated up in the diff, it was rubbing up against the diff cup, the plastic cup. Believe it or not, it burnt it. It melted the plastic. It was heating up so much that it was swelling and causing my whole diff to like bind up. So after about 20-25 minutes of running, I couldn't even run. The truck was like binding up. It was terrible. It was a big mistake on my part. What I ended up doing was replacing it with a copper shim. It doesn't have to be copper, of course, but I replaced it with a copper shim because it's all I could find with the close enough inner diameter that I only had to take a little bit off with the Dremel to fit on the cup right behind where the bearing sits. So I had to have an inner diameter that was right. And so I had to take a little bit off of it with a Dremel, but I bought a package of cheap washers at Harbor Freight, and I'll show you the one I used. It's right here. That one I was just showing you wasn't the one I used. It's this here. So I took a little bit of the inner diameter out, so it's big enough to sit on the end of the diff cup, just like that, and the bearing sits right in front of it, and then sits in the tower. And that got rid of the play, and it allows the diff to spin freely without issue, no issues, but it doesn't have any back and forth play, and it's not touching anything. So it was just a matter of trial and error as far as that mod was concerned, or that fix is concerned. So we'll see how that goes. As far as the internal portions of the diff, I use the Team Fast Eddie shim kit, and I think I've talked to you guys about this in the past, but I'll mention it again because I have it handy. TT399 Team Fast Eddie Pro Series shim kit. These shims are big enough to fit around the drive cup when it slides through the diff cup and the pin goes through it. They can sit on top of the washer that sits above the O-ring, and they allow you to eliminate the play that the drive cup normally has when it's in the diff cup, when it's in that cylinder. There's normally a bit of play in there, which causes leakage. I also changed, so I used 2 of these on each side, and these come in all different sizes. So if you decide to do this, you find the size that's right for you. So I don't have any leakage at all. And also, I decided to... what else? What else was I going to say? I apologize. I just drew a blank. Oh, well, I did it on both sides so that I could eliminate any play, and also I changed the O-ring. The O-ring that is normally used on the diff does not fit around the drive cup with tightness. It actually just falls over it, and it fits in that little recessed area in the diff cup. This isn't the one I used, but I used something a little bit smaller in diameter, but thick enough to where when it sits in that recess, it fills it, so there won't be any leakage. But what happens is now when I slide the diff cup through, or the drive cup through the diff, I'm able to actually squeeze the O-ring over the cylinder, push it down into the slot. So I'm not playing that game where I'm trying to get it to fit in there and it keeps popping out, get it to fit in there and it keeps popping out, and then I slide the diff through, or the drive cup through. No, not playing that game. I'm sliding the drive cup through, and then I'm putting this over it, sliding it down on top of it like a damn condom, and then pushing it down into the recess, and it fits perfect. So I'm using a different O-ring, and the O-ring came from a set of Roven shock rebuild. It came from a shock rebuild kit from a Roven that Roven sent me. Roven, King Motor, one or the other. So I'm hoping for good luck with the diff. As far as the brakes are concerned, I've always had an issue with the brakes. Initially, these don't, or out of the box, these don't come with a nut on them. I believe Rovens does. This is a plastic unit, and again, in the theme of not spending any money, I'm not going to buy an upgraded, servo horn and linkage setup. I'm going to continue to use this plastic one. But one of the downfalls is these will back out. These will start to back out. They'll strip right through the threads. There's so much going on here, and normally you have to keep these adjusted so far back that there's not enough thread coming out to put a nut on it. Okay, so what I did was I cut these down. See these here? I cut them down. Normally they're about that long. I cut them in half, and that gave me the ability to push things this way so that I could actually nut these, and it gave me the ability to adjust my front brake so that I'm actually getting like an 80, like a 70-30 grab. I'm grabbing not 70-30, but I'm grabbing a little bit hotter in the front than I am in the back now. And that's why this is designed the way it is, so that you can do that. But the way it's designed, it doesn't allow you to do it properly. There's not enough adjustability there, at least from what I could see. Again, I'm a noob, so I might be wrong. But I gave myself that adjustability. You'll notice there's more thread on this end than there is here. I have this one flush. So there's not much of a difference, but enough of a difference to where when this one grabs, it's grabbing a little bit hotter than this one. And of course, guys, don't forget to set your endpoints. Don't burn out your servos. I have my trims, my endpoints all set properly for throttle and brake, and these are now sitting perfectly flush and open, so that caliper's open, fully open. But when it grabs, man, it grabs tight. And this sucker stops on a dime with that brake kit. You should feel the actual disc. It's really, really nice. It's a good-looking disc. I don't know what metal it's made of, and these are padded calipers. So yeah, long story short, I'm hoping that kind of, that helps, and I'm hoping the diff hangs in there because, again, I'm just going to continue kind of rolling with this budget theme thing. One thing I wanted to mention, the first annual East Coast Nationals are going to be happening, I believe, not this weekend, but this coming weekend. A really good guy, his name is Keith. He is hosting the East Coast Nationals at his track, his home track in Pelham, New Hampshire. I really wanted to make it. It's going to be an insane event. He's already got he's got the sponsors behind him after racing out at the West Coast Nationals this year. I think he met a lot of good people and told them about what he had going on, and he was able to make it happen. So if you guys are interested, I believe you can still sign up. He's going to do a 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, all different classes. Of course, for me, I would have to fly up there. I have to send portions of my truck up there. I believe you have to send your gas tank separate, your engine. You can't take that on the plane. Disassemble your truck. I really wanted to go. I was going to ask my wife about making it a birthday present to myself, but guys, it's just too much work for me, especially, I'm not really ready to race in that regard. I don't have a backup rig. If something happened, I'd be screwed after spending all that money to get up there. But I did just see one of the guys in the closed group that I'm involved in. He said he just got his hotel tickets and, he's going. So good for him. Kudos to those of you guys that can make it. And if you're like me and you can't, I'm assuming we'll catch some YouTube footage, some Facebook footage, and, that's how we'll see some of the action. But in the meantime, she'll be going to the next open track day, May 26th, and that'll be the last one for the season. And we'll put her away. We will start working on this Baja and maybe start getting that thing going, that Ghost Racing G5 Vector clone. I got some plans for the Baja, the body. I'm going to cut out the windows. I wasn't going to. And I'll tell you what I got going on as far as that whole battery box situation that I had last week. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. I appreciate everybody, and keep doing what you do, and I'll keep doing what I do. Good night.